Learning Simplified. My name is Eric. I'll be taking you through this topic, decimals. And for this lesson, we'll be looking at introductions to decimals. So we'll start by looking at the meaning of decimals. Then we'll look at how we convert fractions to decimals and look at different types of decimals. And then at the end of the session, we'll be able to give you some assignments to help you practice and also to help you check whether you've already understood the concept as discussed through the session. So what does it mean when you talk about a decimal? So the definition of decimal is a fraction whose denominator can be written as a power of 10. So you can call it a decimal fraction, or you can just call it a decimal. But the definition is as written there. A fraction whose denominator can be written as a power of 10. And you can see examples. 1 over 10, which is 0.1, 1 over 100, as long as the denominator can be written as a power of 10. That is 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, and so on and so forth. So a decimal so a decimal is always written as follows. So if you have like 1 over 10, like this one here, you can write it as 0.1. If you have 100, like this one here, 1 over 100, you can write it as 0.01 and many others. So we are going to see different examples. So maybe 1 over 10. See, so for like this 1 over 10, you can write it as 0.1. Or if you have 0.1, you can also write it as 1 over 10. If you have 5 over 100, you can write it as 0.05. So 0.05 again, 5 over 100. So the dot here, this one here, it's read as point. So this one here you'll read as 0.05. So we have the digits after the decimal point, they're usually read as single digits. So we have like 5 points. So one can be tempted to read this as 5.875. That is not right. So it's supposed to be read, the digits after the decimal points are supposed to be read as single digits, So you read it as 875, not 875. They are read as single digits. 5, and the dot here is read as point. So we have 5.875. So 5.875. Remember to read them as single digits and not 875. So the next point we have is a decimal fraction. So remember, decimals can be called decimal fractions or just a decimal. So if you come across a book that is calling it a decimal fraction or a decimal, they mean the same thing. So a decimal can be called a decimal fraction, or you can just call it a decimal. It's just one and the same thing. So a decimal fraction such as 8.3, you can have 0 point, or you can have one that is having a whole number part, like the previous one. The previous one we saw 5 point, So we also have 8 point. So we have a decimal fraction such as 8.3. This one here means 8 as a whole number part plus the decimal fraction part, you see. So it has a whole number part and a fraction part, a decimal fraction part. And by the way, the decimals normally represent fractions. That's why part of what we're going to discuss is how now the fractions can be written as decimals. So these ones we call them mixed numbers or mixed fraction. One that is written in this form. There is a whole number part and there is a decimal part. So a decimal fraction which represents the sum of a whole number and a proper fraction. This is called a mixed fraction or mixed number. It has the decimal part and it has the whole number part. So this part here, we're going to see how we convert fractions to decimals. So we're going to do how we convert fractions to decimals. So ignore that. So how do you convert fractions? Remember, these decimals, they simply represent the decimals, they represent fractions. So how do you convert the fractions back to decimals? So we have to convert a number from fraction form to decimal form. Simply divide the numerator. The numerator, if you do not know what a numerator is, we've discussed that in our previous videos on fractions. That's why we're discussing numerators, denominators. So if you don't know, at least the numerator simply means the top part of the fraction. So to convert a number from fraction form to decimal form, simply divide the numerator, that is the top part of the number, by the denominator, which is the bottom part of the fraction. There is a good example here where we're supposed to convert the following fractions to decimals. So this is how we're going to do it. Again, if you don't know how to do this, you can check our previous videos on this. So the numerator becomes the dividend and the denominator now is the divisor. What you do, usually if you have a whole number like 1, it has a decimal point immediately on the right hand side. And then after that, you can always add multiple zeros. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. You can add as many zeros as you may want to, depending on what you need. Then now, if you try to divide 1 by 5, that is not possible. So you write 0 on top of it. Then 0 by 5 is equals to 0. Then 1 minus 0 is 1. Then you drop the next 0 here. Remember, we are simply dividing the numerator by the denominator. But the rule is to convert a number from fraction form to decimal form, simply divide the numerator by the denominator, like we're doing here. So now 10 here is divided by 5, the answer will be 2. Write it on top of the next 0. So 2 by 5 is again 10. And of course, now if you subtract the 2, the answer is 0. So we are done. So what happens is, now this decimal point jumps up here. See, the decimal point jumps up. So this is what we get. So 0.2. So what it means is that 1 over 5 in decimal form will be 0.2. So you see how this is read as 0.2. So that is how we are able to convert from fraction form to decimal form. So this is fraction. This is the decimal representing that fraction. Remember, decimals, they normally represent fractions. So if you see any decimal, that is just representing a fraction. So you can be asked to write a number, maybe convert a number from fraction to decimal, or from decimal to fraction. Either of them you can be asked to do in a test or in an exam. There's another one here. Possibly you can try pause the video and then you attempt before. So what we do is the same thing we've done in the previous one. You simply divide the numerator by the denominator. Again, this is fraction to decimal. Not decimal to fraction. So we are having the dividend is 2, and then the divisor is 5. So again, after that, normally a whole number has a decimal point immediately after the number on the right hand side of the number. So 2.0, you can add as many zeros as you may be interested in. So I've just added a few here. So 2 again divided by 5 is not possible, so I write 0 on top of 2. Then 0 by 5 is 0, and if you subtract, you have 2. Then you drop the next 0 here. That is 20. 20 divided by 5 is 4. You write it on top of this. And 4 by 5 here is again 20. And if you subtract, that is 0, 0. If you don't know how that is done, again, you can check from our previous videos how that is done. And then the decimal point jumps up there. So we have 2 over 5 as 0.4. So 2 over 5 is equals to 0.4. So remember, this is fractions converted to decimals. Again, this is fractions to decimals. So we have this fraction here. So we have the dividend here is 3 and the divisor is 5. So again, you can just add as many number of zeros as you may be interested in. After the decimal point, you can add as many zeros as you may be interested in. So again, 3 divided by 5 is not possible. So you write 0. 0 by 5 is 0. And then you subtract. This is 3. And then you drop this 0 here. And then 30 divided by 5 is 6. You write it on top of the next digit. And 6 by 5 is 30. So that is 0, 0. And then the decimal point jumps up there. So the number is 3 over 5 is equals to 0.6. So this is again fractions to, we are converting fractions to decimals. So we do the same thing. So the dividend is 3, the divisor is 8. So 3.000. You can add as many number of zeros, you can even increase. So 3 divided by 8, not possible. 0 by 8 is 0. If you subtract, that is 3. Then you drop the next 0 here. 30 divided by 8. That is 3. 3 by 8 is 24. So again, if you subtract, if you don't know how this subtraction is done, you can check again our videos on subtraction of natural numbers. You'll be able to see how that is done. So borrow 1 from 3, put it here, it goes there as 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. 2 is remaining here, 2 minus 2 is 0, so I'll not write. So what I do next is to drop this 0 here. So that is 60. So 60 divided by 8, that is 7. And 7 by 8 is 56. So again, you borrow 1 from here because 0 is less than 6. That will be 4. You know, borrowing 1 from 6 to this will be 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. This is now 5. 5 minus 5 is 0, so I don't write that. So what I do is to drop this next 0 here. And 40 divided by 8 is 5. You write it on top of that. And 5 by 8 is 40. So that is 0, 0. So we stop. So what happens next is the decimal point is to jump up there. So what you know now, 3 over 8 is equals to 0.375, you know. So that is how we convert numbers from fractions to decimals. And of course, we have some assignment there to help you just to practice, you know, 3 over 8, 7 over 8, 4 over 5. Otherwise, that marks the end of the lesson. Goodbye.